Hi, everyone, and welcome to The Balancing Act. I'm Olga Villaverde.
I'm Montel Williams.
Today, why being your own advocate is key when managing your health.
Balancing Act starts right now.
Today, painful diabetic peripheral neuropathy, also known as diabetic nerve pain.
It's a consequence for the 35 million people living with diabetes in the United States.
We're going to learn more about this debilitating disease from Dr. Neil Mehta. But first, let's meet Ed, one of the 5 million people in the United States living with this condition. Take a look.
The diabetic nerve pain that I experience started at my feet as like an overdoing tingling pain. Eventually that turned into I was walking on fire, and then eventually I was walking on glass. I feel that pain 24/7.
The Balancing Act met with Dr. Neil Mehta, Division Chief of Weill Cornell Pain Management, for more.
Painful diabetic peripheral neuropathy of the feet, or diabetic nerve pain, is a type of nerve damage that is a common complication of diabetes. Patients that are most at risk of developing diabetic nerve pain generally surround their control of their diabetes. But unfortunately, those that have good control still could be at risk for some sort of diabetic nerve pain developing over time. The symptoms of diabetic nerve pain can be numbness, tingling, painful sensations in both the feet and the legs. Complications can include chronic pain, falls, ulcerations, infections, and potentially leading to amputations. Diabetic nerve pain can impact their day-to-day ability to care for themselves, engage with their loved ones, and be productive at work.
A previous back injury led to an addiction to prescription pain medication, making Ed's management of his diabetic nerve pain years later a challenge.
Managing the pain has been a real battle with my doctors. It was really my mom that was my patient advocate, and she greatly spoke up when we were in these appointments to get the doctor's attention and to let the doctor know about the pain that I experience.
So when we meet the patient for the first time, we talk about what is the pain that they're experiencing. Patients with diabetic nerve pain often find it difficult to describe their pain. We start with scales, 0 to 10, but also it's important to use a framework to further describe what you're experiencing. How does it impact your ability to stand, to walk, complete your household tasks, going to work? When it's time for bed, how well do you sleep? And then we'll dive into their pain treatments. Which medications have they been on? Did they experience pain relief? Did they experience side effects? What have they discontinued and what are they actively on? We'll look at their diagnosis of diabetes. How long have they had it and how has it been controlled over time? Furthermore, our physical exam looks at the overall condition of the legs and the feet. We'll look for presence or absence of sensation. We may involve neurologists who perform a test called electromyography, or EMG for short.
Nerve damage from diabetes cannot be reversed. This is because the body cannot naturally repair nerve tissues that have been damaged. Therefore, the focus is on preventing the progression with glucose control and diet and exercise modifications, as well as treatments to reduce the pain.
There are 3 FDA-approved oral medications prescribed for the treatment of diabetic nerve pain of the feet. They are pregabalin, duloxetine, and tapentadol. These are systemic and affect the entire body. There is one FDA-approved topical prescription treatment called Qutenza. Qutenza capsaicin 8% topical system works differently and is a patch that is indicated to treat diabetic nerve pain of the feet. Qutenza is applied for 30 minutes at the doctor's office and has been shown to reduce diabetic nerve pain of the feet for up to 3 months, and it can be used with or without other pain medications.
Cutenza is indicated for adults with neuropathic pain associated with diabetic peripheral neuropathy, DPN of the feet. Cutenza can only be applied by your healthcare provider. Cutenza can cause severe irritation of the eyes, mucous membranes, respiratory tract, and skin. Patients may experience pain and burning upon application and following removal of Cutenza. Reduced sensation in the feet may occur. The most common side effects were redness, pain, or itching where Cutenza was applied. If any of these side effects become severe, tell your doctor immediately. Talk to your doctor about how Cutenza may help reduce pain in your feet.
Systemic therapies can affect the whole body, as opposed to topical treatments that can be targeted and affect the areas that they're applied to. Systemic medications can be difficult to tolerate due to the side effects. Some topical treatments can provide pain relief, with the most common side effects occurring at the site of the application. An ideal treatment would provide pain relief while minimizing the side effects, including drowsiness, constipation, sedation, dizziness, or potentially risk of addiction to opioids. Opioids had previously been commonly used for pain treatment, but we know, due to the opioid crisis, that opioids need to be sparingly used. Consequences of using opioids long-term can be potential for risk of addiction.
I take pregabalin 4 times a day, and it helps doing the chores that we need to do for the day. Typically when we come back from town, I need to lay down and rest from getting up and walking all over. It's extremely hard to go to sleep at nighttime because I still experience that pain. None of the pain medications that I've been on have really been able to help control the pain that I feel in my feet. I really wish that there were more options to help control diabetic nerve pain that don't have any of the negative side effects like narcotics have. They really make you feel groggy, you sleep a lot. One of the really bad side effects that I've experienced is addiction, taking more pain pills that I'm supposed to take. And I was addicted for 15, 16 years of experiencing this pain.
The Foundation for Peripheral Neuropathy advised Averitas Pharma in the development of a patient-focused survey to help generate disease education. Findings included 90% of patients have had to make significant lifestyle changes due to their diabetic nerve foot pain, and 58% are not satisfied with their current treatment plan. Furthermore, better treatments and freedom from pain were the overriding perspectives shared by patients with diabetic nerve foot pain when thinking about the future.
In order to have successful treatment, it's important to have an open dialogue with your doctor. As a physician, it's important for me to understand what we need to focus on. Is the treatment worse than the disease to begin with? Is there limitations or side effects that are causing you trouble? And should we think about alternatives, especially new things that are coming to market?
When I found out that there wasn't a pain management support group here in my local area, I really felt the need to go ahead and start one. And we are actually affiliated with the ACPA, American Chronic Pain Association. I want to take my pills correctly because I don't want to be a disappointment to the people in the support group that I've started.
My advice to patients is to speak with your physician about the symptoms you're experiencing, both with your condition and the treatments that you're undergoing, and any side effects you may be experiencing. Patients may not be aware that a pain management specialist is an option for them. And most importantly, educate and empower yourself to learn about what's out there for you. We are in an exciting time for medical treatment, and there is so much innovation in this space.
For full prescribing information, visit cutenza.com/PDPN, and you can see their ad in Kiplinger Personal Finance. You can always visit our website, thebalancingact.com. It is a rare, often unpredictable chronic autoimmune disease that affects approximately 31,000 to 67,000 Americans. We're going to learn more from neurologist Dr. Suresh, but first, meet Teresa, whose unexpected diagnosis changed the course of her life. Let's go behind the mystery of myasthenia gravis. Take a look.
Well, I was 24 years old when I started my performing arts school. I was a wife and I was a mom of 2 kids, and I was working about 60 hours a week and trying to get my business off the ground. When I started getting sick, I noticed that my arms were very weak and I felt like I couldn't hold my head up. My neck was super weak and I was getting headaches a lot. I was very scared because I went from being such a healthy person to barely even being able to get out of bed in the morning. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know what my future held, and I knew I was sick. I just didn't know what was wrong.
The Balancing Act met with Dr. Nirja Suresh, a neurologist at the University of South Florida, to learn more about this chronic disease.
Myasthenia gravis means grave muscle weakness, which is exactly what patients experience with it. So myasthenia gravis is an autoimmune disease where the body attacks itself. And in the case of myasthenia gravis, it tends to attack the muscles. What happens is that muscles don't contract because the messaging system between the nerve and the muscle is affected. One of the hallmarks of myasthenia gravis is improvement with rest and worsening with activity. There are 2 forms of myasthenia gravis, ocular and generalized. The ocular symptoms include double vision or droopiness in the eyes. For generalized myasthenia gravis, it can affect multiple areas, including your speech, swallowing, having difficulty keeping your eyes open, trouble breathing, as well as weakness in the arms and legs. When the symptoms occur, it can be intermittent and it can be very severe.
For over a year, no one could explain how Teresa went from a trained dancer to barely being able to get out of bed. Appointments with her primary care physician, meetings with several neurologists, and even visiting with therapists to deal with stress all resulted in more questions than answers.
I kept getting tests run and everything came back normal. Nobody could figure out what was wrong with me. Couldn't walk even from the bed to the bathroom without assistance. I was having a hard time feeding myself. I had always been such a tough person. I'd been the one taking care of everyone. And I got to a point where I just couldn't do it.
There's a wide range of both symptoms and severity that causes the diagnosis to be very challenging. And sometimes if your provider isn't able to pick up on those symptoms very quickly, it becomes very difficult, and sometimes people wait months, if not years, to get diagnosed correctly with it.
Once MG is suspected, there are tests available to confirm a diagnosis.
So myasthenia gravis can be diagnosed with antibody serum testing, meaning that there could be blood work that we can do to diagnose this. There is electrodiagnostic testing, which means that we can stimulate certain nerves to take a look and see if your muscle gets weak over time. The other testing that we have is confirmatory testing by sometimes trying treatment and see if symptoms improve.
Got to a point where I couldn't manage things anymore on my own. I was just having a lot of trouble breathing at home and swallowing and chewing food. I had lost quite a bit of weight and the breathing was getting to be really hard. So I went to the emergency room, and the doctors there had some suspicion that I possibly had myasthenia gravis. They wanted to do a diagnostic test to rule it out or to confirm whether myasthenia gravis is what we were dealing with. After they gave me the medication, I went from being so sick to being able to sit up on my own. My eyes opened brighter. I was able to move my arms and legs. They didn't tell me that it was going to wear off. They came in about 15 minutes later and I was starting to get weaker again. But at that point, they finally knew what was wrong with me. I had hope that maybe I could someday get my life back.
Coming up, Teresa's life post-diagnosis. We'll be right back after this. Approximately 15 to 20% of people with myasthenia gravis experience at least one myasthenic crisis. Let's go back to Dr. Suresh for more.
Myasthenia crisis is when someone can have very severe symptoms to the point that they may have respiratory depression, meaning that they may need ventilatory support. The crises can occur at any point, unfortunately, but often we see them in the setting of stressors or even things like severe exertion, infection, and those are the most common causes of that. And certainly we've seen a lot of patients get diagnosed at their very first crises, unfortunately.
You know, at first I was really excited that I finally had a diagnosis, but then I realized this isn't going to go away. There was no cure for this. A lot of the mental parts of living with a chronic illness really set in. I reached out to the Myasthenia Gravis Association of Colorado, and they put me in touch with a neuromuscular specialist, which is what I needed. Once I was able to meet with the neuromuscular specialist, I was able to start managing my disease. And I just kind of had to learn, you know, what my threshold was and what I was able to do on a daily basis, and learn my body and learn to listen.
So it's very important to feel that the patient is in the driving seat when it comes to treatment options. Unfortunately, there's no cure for myasthenia gravis, but there are multiple options that can be helpful in controlling myasthenia gravis symptoms. Thymectomy is a type of surgery where the thymus gland is removed. The thymus gland has been associated with myasthenia gravis symptoms. Some of the lifestyle changes that patients can make include maintaining a healthy diet, exercising, and coming up with a good regimen along with your physician, as well as being part of support groups and networks to help them cope with symptoms. It's very important to make sure that you're having an open dialogue with your physician about symptoms and how that affects your day-to-day living.
In November 2020, argenx, a global immunology company, premiered the first ever MG documentary film series called A Mystery to Me. The docuseries illustrated the perseverance of 3 individuals as they navigate the challenges of living with MG and adapt their lives to accommodate the debilitating illness.
I decided that being part of this docuseries would be a wonderful opportunity, because if I could help somebody with my story, it would be worth it. It was such a great experience, and I'm so glad that we were able to meet these wonderful people and to do such a beautiful piece. You know, if I can make it easier for another person who is having the same symptoms as I was having, if I can help get them diagnosed faster by raising awareness for myasthenia gravis, it is so worth it.
So for newly diagnosed myasthenia gravis patients, I want them to know that there's hope, support, and ways to manage symptoms to improve quality of life.
It's been 21 years since I got diagnosed. I have since had another child who is now 16. And my day-to-day now is fantastic. I've learned to manage my illness quite well, and I've learned to listen to my body and prioritize what I need to do on a day-to-day basis and change things up as I need to. For patients that are newly diagnosed, there's a lot to learn. Do your own research and be your own best advocate. Don't give up, and don't settle for anything less than what you want in life. You know, keep fighting for quality of life. It is possible. You just need to learn to manage it well and get the right people on your team.
For more information on myasthenia gravis and to watch the docuseries A Mystery to Me, visit mg-united.com, or you can go to our website, thebalancingact.com.
Thanks so much for joining us today.
Remember to head to our Facebook page and our website and follow us on Twitter.
You know what you have to do. Be safe, love that family of yours. We'll see you next time.